Need to file your GST, HST before the deadline and don't know how because it's your first time or you've just forgotten since the last time you've done it? Hey, I'm Jessica and I am here to help you. Plus, I also need to file my GST, HST and thought, hey, it was about time to make an updated version of this video. Now, in that old tutorial, which is still totally fine to follow, by the way, I was using FreshBooks for my accounting and did all of my own bookkeeping. Now, my business is a bit more complex now, so I've got a bookkeeper I pay every month, and I now use QuickBooks. That's the example I'm going to show you today. However, I'll also show you an example of how to do it if you're just keeping track of your business income, expenses, and sales tax in a spreadsheet, like my own budget spreadsheets you can buy. Okay, so step one, make sure you have your CRA My Business Account set up. If you don't, I've included a link below to help you set one up. Step two, find out your reporting period and filing deadline. As you'll see later, I report quarterly and will be filing for the period of July 1st to September 30th. The deadline to file your GST HST is 1 month after the end of the reporting period, meaning the deadline for me for this period is October 31st. But if you'd like a quick guide, I found this one that seems to be up to date that has all the reporting periods and deadlines for monthly, quarterly, and annual installments. I've linked it in the description. Step three, know the key information you'll need to input when you're filing your GST HST. This includes your total sales revenues for the period, which you'll input in line 101, the amount of GST HST you charged on your sales, which you'll input in line 103, the amount of GST HST you paid on business expenses, which you'll input on line 106. These are known as input tax credits, by the way, and just a side note, if you don't really know what these are, I have made a video about ITCs too, so check that out after this. Next, any known GST HST sales and input tax credit adjustments, which you'll put on lines 104 and 107 respectively. And the rest should calculate itself. Okay, on to step four. Log into your CRA My Business Account. Navigate to the GST HST section and find the File a Return button. Now, assuming you're not filing returns for information on claims paid or credited for foreign conventions, or GST HST and QST return for selected listed financial institutions, which are likely not, select the first option, which is Goods and Services Tax Harmonized Sales Tax GST HST return for registrants GST 34. Then hit Next. Next, input your reporting period, and assuming none of these other checkboxes apply to you, which they likely don't, but always good to speak to your accountant if you're not sure, scroll to the bottom and hit Next. Now I'm going to open up my QuickBooks account, navigate to the Sales Tax tab, find my reporting period and click Prepare Return, where it will show me a guide to use for my GST HST return. Then put your total sales revenues for the period in line 101. Unless lines 135 and 136 apply to you, skip them. Next, input the amount of GST HST you collected during the period into line 103, and any adjustments in line 104. Then input the amount of GST HST you paid on business expenses, your input tax credits, into line 106, and put any adjustments you need to make in line 107. Unless any of these other boxes apply to you, which honestly they likely won't, skip to the end, then hit Next. Now, as you'll see, it will automatically calculate your sales tax owed, which essentially is how much tax you've collected minus how much tax you've paid on business expenses and factoring in any adjustments. Then all there's left to do is file and pay. Now, obviously, using a bookkeeper who keeps track of all of my invoices, sales from digital products, and business expenses, and using QuickBooks saves me a ton of time. However, I wasn't always in a financial position to afford a bookkeeper, though I would recommend investing in accounting software, whether it be QuickBooks or FreshBooks, because they are pretty great time savers. But if you're just starting out or your business is relatively simple, a spreadsheet is just as fine to keep track of everything. And it's now easier than ever with my budget spreadsheets that help you track your sales, expenses, and sales tax. Let me show you how it works. Okay, so for this example, I'm showing you my budget spreadsheet for someone who is an individual and they are self-employed. It's very easy. Just go to this business spending tab. And let's say we are looking at our, revenue, our expenses, our sales tax for the reporting period of July to September. So here is where you would put your income source. So who is your client or where did it come from? This is the income earned. So let's say you earned $20,000. And then if you charge them sales tax, it would go here. So don't put the $20,000 plus sales tax in here. This is income earned not including sales tax, and then you'd put the sales tax in there. And here is where you would put your business expenses. So as you can see, you'd put like the date, company, categorize them, payment method, just to keep track of everything. This is the amount you spent, again, not including sales tax. And then you would put the sales tax that you paid on that bill right here. You would do that for every single month. And then you could look at the top to see, okay, how much did we spend in total? What are our numbers? So here we've got your business revenue. So this is something that you are going to put in your GST, HST return. Now this automatically totals everything, but if you have other months, you're not going to want that number unless you are filing annually. So if you want to just find out what our total is for that quarter, we would simply go into this cell, go equals sum, hit sum, and then just select the cells you want to add together. Go don't show again for 5 minutes, and then you would get that number. And then next, the information that we need to know is sales tax collected and then paid. So we would do the similar thing, sum, select those cells. Okay, we've collected $6,596.79 in sales tax. And then here is the sales tax paid. So we bought a bunch of business expenses. We paid sales tax on those business expenses. What's the total? Select those cells, and then you get that 1,400 number. If you do have any questions about filing your GST, HST, please let me know in the comments. But aside from that, if you liked this video, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Well, that's it for me. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time.